Hey kids, welcome to this week's Children's Ministry Online. Let's get into our worship, story, and craft for this week.
Over mountains high, through the valleys low, God is good. Wherever we go, from the brightest days to the darkest nights, God is good all the time. Oh, 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 God is good. Oh, oh, to the vast unknown, everywhere we go, God is good. Through the trials we face, He will show the way. We will stand and say that God is good. Oh, 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 God is good. Oh, 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 around. Our God is good. When nothing goes our way, and it's just not our day. Our God is good. Oh, 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 God is good. Oh, 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 over mountains high, through the valleys low, God is good. Wherever we go, from the brightest days to the darkest nights, God is good. Over mountains high, through the valleys low, God is good. Wherever we go, from the brightest days to the darkest nights, God is good all the time. Oh, 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 God is good. Oh, 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 God is good.
Psalms 41 and 2. I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock, gave me a firm place to stand. He set my feet on a rock, gave me a firm place to stand. Set my feet on a rock, yeah, and here I am. I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock, gave me a firm place to stand. He set my feet on a rock, gave me a firm place to stand. Set my feet on a rock, yeah, and here I am. Waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock, he gave me a firm place to stand. He set my feet on a rock, gave me a firm place to stand. Set my feet on the rock, yeah, and here I am, hey, hey. Here I am, here I am, here I am.
Okay, let's get into our story for today. We're going to be reading from the Jesus Storybook Bible, and the story for today is called The Teenie, Weenie, True King. And if you're reading along with me, it is on page 116. This is from the story of 1 Samuel 16, when Samuel anoints David. God's people had a new land. Now, they wanted a king. But God is your king, Samuel told them. He is the one who looks after you best. We want a real king, they said, one that we can see. God knew that a king might not be kind to his people or look after them as well as he would. But God's people didn't care. They wanted a king, and they wanted him now. So God gave them a king. He was called Saul, and he seemed like a good king at first. But he became proud and stopped listening to God. He didn't obey God or love God with his whole heart. Saul can't help me with my plan, God said. I need a king who loves me and will teach my people to love me too. I need a true king. God had just the one in mind. Go to Bethlehem, God told Samuel. You'll find the new king there. Samuel's job was to listen to God and tell people what God had said. So Samuel went to the little town of Bethlehem. God told Samuel to go to Jesse's house. God was going to choose one of Jesse's sons to be the new king. Jesse had 7 strong sons. Now, in those days, if you were going to be the king, you didn't have to be the richest or the cleverest, although that was always nice. You had to look like a king, which meant you had to be the tallest and the strongest, so that you could carry the longest swords and biggest armor and defeat everyone. And it didn't hurt to be handsome either. Samuel asked Jesse to bring him each son in turn. So Jesse brought the oldest, tallest, and strongest son. This must be the king, Samuel thought. He looks like a king. But God didn't choose him. You're thinking about what he looks like on the outside, God told Samuel, but I am looking at his heart, what he's like on the inside. So Jesse showed Samuel his next oldest, tallest, and strongest son. But God didn't choose him either. In fact, God didn't choose any of the 7 sons. Samuel said, "Is that all?" Jesse laughed. "Oh, well, there's the youngest one, but he's just the weakling of the family. He's only teeny." "Well, bring him," said Samuel. Jesse's youngest son came running up, and God spoke quietly to Samuel. "This is the one." His name was David. "He has a heart like mine," God said. "It is full of love. He will help me with my secret rescue plan. And one of his children's children's children will be the king. And that king will rule the world forever." Samuel anointed David's head with oil, which was a special way to show that you are God's chosen king. "You will be the new king one day," Samuel told him. And sure enough, when he grew up, David became king. God chose David to be king because God was getting his people ready for an even greater king who was coming. Once again, God would say, "Go to Bethlehem. You'll find the new king there." And there, one starry night in Bethlehem, in the town of David, 3 wise men would find him. And that would be Jesus. This is a great story to show us that God is going to always look at the inside of our heart, not the outside. And if we try our best to be good, but it's only to be good on the outside, then God's not going to be super happy. He wants us to love him and be good on the inside as well, because that is where our true self is. So let's get into our craft to help remind us of that. All right, let's get into our craft for today. It's going to be a little bit of a short one, but it's going to help us remember that God looks inside of our heart and who we are. So let's do these supplies. I have 2 pieces of paper, a red and a white. We're going to be making a heart style book. So that's why I got red. If you want your heart book to be a different color on the outside, you can get a different color. And then I just got white. You can do a different color if you would like. I have my coloring utensils, my scissors, and a glue stick. So you go grab those supplies and I'll meet you back here. All right, so we are gonna start with our red piece of paper, and we're going to make 2 big hearts, and we're gonna make them connecting on one of the sides. So we want to try and make the hearts around the same size. That way when we fold it, they fold pretty good on top of each other. So how you can do that is we are going to draw one big heart on half of the paper. I'm gonna kind of fix a little bit of it. And then we're gonna draw about the same size on the other side, and we're gonna make it touch on the side of it. So you can watch me to see what I mean. Okay, so that was my best way of getting them together. So this is kind of how we want. That much is okay to be touching. You probably don't want any less than that. So if you did, you can go on the back and try it again or get another piece of paper. But after you have drawn your hearts and connected them, we're gonna cut them out. Now don't cut through here, just cut around here. So you still want the hearts to be connecting after you cut it. Okay, so I cut it out, and now I'm just gonna fold it on the part that I still have left. So you can see it wasn't a perfect circle, and that's okay because we're not perfect in life, and this can kind of show that. But I think that this looks great. So now we're gonna take our white piece of paper, we'll scoot this to the side, and we're gonna make a small shaped heart, so smaller than this one. So this is going to be my inside heart. We want to make it just so that it can fit right inside. So I'll kind of do that. I know that it needs to be, actually, I can just trace this. And then I want it to be this big. So that is the heart that I'm going to now cut out. Okay, so I cut it out and I'll place it here and it looks just how I want it to look, and it gets covered up by the first heart when it's folded over. So I'm gonna take my glue stick and I'm gonna glue the white onto the inside heart. So just right on top of it in the middle, just like this. And now we can fold our heart in half and we're gonna write something in the middle. We're gonna write, God looks at, and that's what's gonna be on the outside. And then we're gonna flip it open and we're gonna write what is inside our heart. So now we can know that when we close this, we're gonna be looking at a heart that says God looks at, and we're gonna be curious, what does he look at? Well, when we open it up, it says that he looks at what is inside of our hearts, and that is gonna help us remind ourselves what God is looking at and how he is able to judge our character and how we need to focus on. And it's loving God from our heart, not just from the outside. Now you can be creative with this. You can kind of decorate it in different ways. You can grab some different colors and maybe outline the heart like that. You can get some stickers and draw that on the outside, but be fun with it. Make this your own little God's heart book, just so that you can remember and display it for yourself to see every morning. Well, that is our craft for today. I'll do a little bit of decorating on the outside so you can see that. But thanks for joining us for this week's craft, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for joining us for this week's Children's Ministry Online. I hope that you can join us next week for our worship, story, and craft, and I hope that you have a great rest of your week. We'll see you then.